Anything else that we can think of? None, and that's okay. Those are the big ones I really wanted. So I want to, you're going to notice I highlighted mortgages. There's a reason for that. That's primarily what we're focusing on for the first half of this week is mortgages. So with the mortgages here, and there's my mouse. I have a question for you. Is it better to rent or buy? Do you think buy? So what's some advantages of it? So you're thinking buying's better. How come? How come buying a house could be a good thing? Why is buying a house a good thing? I see everyone's hard at work. We get the chance in a couple minutes. We're halfway done. So what are some possible advantages of buying a house? Surely we can think of one. What's an advantage of owning a house versus renting one? Come on, we can think of one. Well, how come you instantly said buy? Oh, sorry. So how come it's better than renting? So we could even go into that, like a disadvantage of renting, maybe. So how come you think buying is better than renting? When you rent money, what happens when you sorry? Well, if you rent, let's say you rent a house for 10 years, what happens with that money every month? You pay however many hundreds of dollars, maybe $1,000, however much it is, in rent every single month. Whereas what happens in 20 years? What happens to that money? You don't have it, right? Whereas if you buy, what happens if when you spend that money every month on a mortgage, on a house that you own, what happens? In 20 years, whose house is that? Yours. That's exactly it. The advantage of buying is you own something. You would say that this is an asset, right? In 20, 25, 30 years, forever long it is, you're slowly chipping away at that house every single month. Eventually, it is yours, completely yours, 100%. Whereas if you are renting, that money goes nowhere. So they would say that this is no asset, right? When you're renting, that money doesn't go towards something you own. So if you're looking about like in the long-term planning, buying is better, but there are some ways, sometimes when renting can be helpful. So now I want to go into some disadvantages of buying and some advantages of renting. Because you're going to see these kind of come quite similar here. So okay, so buying a house is better. How come we just don't all go buy houses? What's the difficult part there? It's really expensive. That's the big one, right? When you need to buy a house, you need to have some form of money. Like you borrow most of it, but you still need to have some money for a down payment, for some fees. That's stuff that we're going to learn about. But yeah, that's the main one. It's really expensive and you're locked in. So I've said a couple times, like I'm a recent home buyer. I can't just up and leave. It would cost me tens of thousands of dollars if I decide, I want to go live in Saskatoon now. So the second you buy, you're locked in for a little bit. Like it becomes really expensive, really difficult. Um, it's a very long process. It takes months. So what's some advantages? Like, has anyone here ever um, moved more than once in a year, moved twice in a year? I definitely have. I've moved like 6 times in a year. Yeah, that sounds about right. 6 times in a year. Um, so some advantages of renting here as well is you get flexibility. Has anyone here ever had, oh my gosh, okay, story time. So do you guys remember it was the first year of COVID? It was like it was January 2020 or 2021, whatever it was, like 6 months after COVID started or whatever. Um, it was that really cold winter, lots of snow. My furnace broke, but it was minus 45 degrees outside. Yeah. So has anyone here ever had like a major thing in their house break? Water heater, furnace. Yeah, I imagine everyone has, right? Who had to fix that? Which one? Well, the furnace guy. Did you pay for it or did someone else? Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, I see. Interesting. Most of the time, so one really big advantage of renting, if something breaks, you don't pay for it most of the time. There's some situations, but like so it was minus 45 out. So I'm really worried that keeping the house warm because if it gets cold, the pipes are gonna burst. All my stuff's gonna freeze, everything's gonna get wet and frozen. Like the house will get ruined, like tens of thousands of dollars in damages if I don't get that fixed right away. This is the nice part though. I was renting. It was not my problem. Hey, landlord, your furnace is broken. I'll do what I can to help out, but you need to get someone here immediately. So that cost him like 2 grand. I didn't have 2 grand at the time. So a nice advantage of renting is if there's a major like appliance breakage, if there's major damage, and obviously you're not the one who like didn't take like a baseball bat to the furnace. That's not on you. That's someone else's responsibility to pay for that. So those are a couple advantages and disadvantages of buying and renting. So I have one final question for you here. I know going straight on into a conversation here, not too fun. One final question here for you is, and I'm not expecting a whole lot of answers here, and that's okay. I just want you to do your best guess here. When you're buying a house, when you go to buy a house, we've already identified that it's expensive. When you buy a house, it is expensive. It's a long process. Why? Why is it expensive? What are some costs we need to think of? So when you buy a house, what are we paying for? Or what do we have to pay? I'm not expecting a whole lot of answers here. I just want you to do your best guesses. Okay, so that's a good one. Yeah, utilities. I was not expecting that answer. That's a good one. So utilities. What else when we buy a house? Yeah, power utilities. Yeah, yeah. We've already gone over two really big ones. Good morning. I can ask Zarlene, are you able to like attend? Attendance has not been too great. I don't know off the top of my head, but you've missed too much, Stephen. I know you got stuff going on, but you got to be here. So two other big costs here that we were thinking of. One was the actual mortgage, right? You're buying a house, that's the money for the house, and a down payment. Now there's more in here as well, which we'll get into that in a second, but we're going to be giving everyone a city to investigate. And we're going to be using this in math later. So I'm going to spin on a city for everyone here. Now you get one veto power. If you don't like that spin, you could be like, I don't want to do that one. I want to do a different city. These are a bunch of lists of cities. Most of them in Saskatchewan or like our local like neighboring provinces, but there's a couple from other places as well. So if let's say, for example, Jasmine, it rolls and it goes on Winnipeg, you're like, I don't want to look at Winnipeg. We can re-roll it again. Next one might be Calgary. You do Calgary, for example. So you get the power of veto. So Caitlin, we'll start off with you. Do a bit of a spin here. All right, Edmonton. Would you like to keep Edmonton or would you like to veto it? Veto? All right, let's see what your city is. You only get one veto, so. Vancouver, okay. I was hoping someone would land on this one. Okay, so you will be Vancouver. And Jasmine, let's see what you get. Would you like Toronto? Sorry. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you'll be Toronto. Okay. Right off the bat, we got the two most expensive ones. Interesting. Okay, so cool. So those are going to be your cities. Now, what we're going to be doing is I'll show you something in a second, but I'll hand this out in a second. But you will primarily be. I'll kind of hand this out in a second, but right now all you're doing is you're going to be looking at 20 houses that meet this criteria. So 3 to 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom, between this many square feet, and you're just listing the price, and that's it. So we don't need to go super fancy. It's just, hey, these are some similar-ish houses. They have about the same size. They have about the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms. This is the cost of them, and that's it. That's all you're doing. You're going to be putting those into an Excel spreadsheet there, just one line at a time. I can help you with that once you get going. So you're going to just look at the cost of 20 different houses. You don't need to get fancy. You don't need to search super hard. It can be the first 20 ones that pop up that meet that criteria. That is okay. So I'll hand that out in a second. Now, where can you find the cost of these houses? Pretty simple, actually. You can literally just Google Vancouver houses for sale. And you're going to see there's a bunch of different ads here. There's a realtor setup. You can go to, I use Point2 Homes actually when I went to buy my house. You can use any number of these things and that is okay. If you're ever unsure, this Point2 Homes is the one I'm most familiar with, but you can pick any one of those sites. So let me hand this out. So for part one, once you put in all your search criteria, so maybe you're at, maybe it's like Vancouver here, for example. Oh my God, so many ads. You go to your filters here. So for example, I'm looking for a 3 to 4 bedroom. So a 4 bedroom, I might put 3. I'll just put 3 plus. I'm looking for a house or a condo or a townhouse. Either of those are fine. I'm looking for ones with 2 bathrooms ideally. And the square feet, we wanted somewhere between 800 to 1,000. So if I apply those filters, then I search, it should give me a condensed list of houses here. Now, first thing you're gonna notice is you said 20. There's 20 of them. If that's the case, what you could do is you could expand these filters a little bit. So maybe it's 1 to 2 bathrooms. Maybe it's 800 to 1,050 square feet. Maybe it's 3 bedrooms. So right there, boom, I expanded it like 18, for example. So we could be playing with that again, but basically all you're going to do is you're going to take your properties. So if I'm doing Vancouver, for example, first one was 1,075,000. Good morning. $1,075,000. And then you just go to your next one here. Oh, 929,000. And that's it. That's as complicated as it needs to go.